Life is designed in such a way that every struggle we encounter comes carrying a hidden gift, a lesson, a shaping power. When people talk about success, they often describe the joy at the end, the comfort, the achievement, the applause. But what they forget to mention is the climb, the uphill road, the sweat, and the moments when it felt easier to give up than to go on. The truth is simple, without struggle, there is no strength. Without the test, there is no testimony. Without the climb, there is no view. Think about the weightlifter in the gym. He picks up iron that resists him. Every rep tears his muscle fibers slightly. It is painful, sometimes exhausting, but it is exactly that resistance that builds his strength. If the weights were light, if there was no struggle, if there was no challenge, his muscles would remain the same. Life works the same way. The struggles you face, the setbacks, the disappointments, and the nights when you feel like nothing is working, those are your weights. And by carrying them, you grow stronger. But here's what many people miss. Strength is not given, strength is earned. Strength is built in the hidden moments, the unseen effort, the private battles nobody claps for. Struggles have a way of shaping character, sharpening vision, and teaching discipline. When you go through hardship, you develop qualities that comfort never could. You learn patience when doors don't open immediately. You learn persistence when results don't show quickly. You learn humility when life reminds you that you are not in control of everything. And you learn resilience when failure forces you to try again. It's easy to envy someone who stands at the top, enjoying the view, but you must remember, they too had their climb. They too had nights of doubt, days of sacrifice, moments of weakness. You just didn't see their climb, you only see their peak. And that's the danger. If you forget that their strength was shaped by struggle, you may believe that success is luck or talent alone. It never is. It is always struggle, discipline, and persistence working together. Let's take an example. Imagine a seed planted in the soil. At first, it is buried in darkness, covered by dirt unseen. For weeks, there may be no visible progress. Yet beneath the ground, that seed is struggling, breaking its shell, pushing roots deeper, fighting through resistance. Finally, one day, it breaks through the surface, reaching for sunlight. But the process was never easy. Without the struggle underground, there would be no tree above ground. And the taller the tree grows, the deeper its roots must go. The more struggle it must endure in storms, winds, and heat. The strength of the tree is directly related to the struggles it overcame. In your life, the storms, the challenges, the obstacles, they are not meant to destroy you, but to prepare you. Struggles are not punishments. They are preparation. Life toughens you not to break you, but to make sure you can handle the blessings waiting at the top. What good is the view if you arrive too weak to enjoy it? What good is success if you crumble under its weight? The climb conditions you. The struggle prepares you for the responsibility of the view. The truth is, when you're in the middle of the climb, it rarely feels good. It feels lonely. It feels unfair. It feels endless. But if you look back at your life, some of your greatest strengths came from your greatest struggles. The heartbreak that taught you to value loyalty. The failure that taught you to prepare better. The loss that taught you to appreciate what you still have. The rejection that forced you to grow in confidence. You didn't want those experiences at the time, but today you see their value. You see how they shaped you. Struggles also reveal who you really are. Anyone can smile when the sun is shining, but who are you when the storm comes? Anyone can keep going when the path is smooth, but who are you when the road is steep? Character is not built in comfort. It is built in challenge. Strength is not born in pleasure. It is born in pain. When you face struggle, you find out what you're truly made of. You discover reserves of courage, patience, and determination you didn't know you had. And here's the irony. The very struggle you complain about today may become the very story that inspires someone tomorrow. When people see you standing strong, they'll wonder where your strength came from. And your answer will be, it came from the climb, from the struggle, from the nights I didn't quit. That's why struggles shape strength. They not only build you, but they also allow you to build others. So whenever life hands you difficulties, remember that every struggle is secretly an opportunity. It's not here to destroy you, it's here to shape you. The mountain was put in your path not to stop you, but to teach you how to climb. Because the best view is reserved for those who are willing to endure the hardest climb. And the only way you develop the strength to reach that view is by embracing the struggle along the way. Greatness has a cost, and the cost is always paid in full, never on discount, never on clearance, never on special offer. The climb is hard because the destination is worth it. The reason most people never get to taste the true sweetness of success is that they go looking for shortcuts. They want the reward without the responsibility, the view without the climb, the harvest without the season of planting. But life does not work that way. Life demands effort, sacrifice, patience, and consistency before it releases its treasures. Think about a farmer. He cannot plant seeds today and expect a harvest tomorrow. He cannot skip the months of watering, weeding, and protecting the crop from storms. If he abandons the process, the crop dies. If he tries to speed it up unnaturally, the harvest is ruined. The only way to reap a healthy harvest is to respect the process step by step, season by season. The climb of success works the same way. You cannot skip the climb and expect to stand on the mountain peak. The peak is earned, not granted. In life, there are many who search for shortcuts. They want wealth without work, recognition without discipline, mastery without practice. But the shortcut always takes longer in the end, because when you take shortcuts, you cut away the very experiences that make you strong enough to keep what you gain. If success comes too quickly, without the foundation of discipline, it slips away just as quickly. That is why many who rush to the top fall back down. They arrived without climbing, so they had no strength to stay there. The climb is tough for a reason. It tests you. It filters out those who only want comfort and convenience. The steep path teaches you discipline because every step upward requires effort. It teaches you patience because results do not come overnight. It teaches you humility because the mountain doesn't care who you are. It only yields to those who keep climbing. And in the process, greatness is formed not just in the reward at the end, but in the character you build along the way. Think about the musician who wants to master his instrument. There is no shortcut to skill. He must practice for hours, sometimes in frustration, repeating the same notes until his fingers ache. The athlete who dreams of a championship must train day after day, pushing through sweat and pain. The entrepreneur who builds a lasting business must endure setbacks, failures, rejections, and long nights of uncertainty. None of them can skip the climb. They must go through it, because greatness requires it. The reason shortcuts don't work is because they remove the struggle, and the struggle is where the strength is found. If you reach the top without climbing, the view has no meaning. You didn't earn it, so you don't value it. But when you've endured the climb, when you've pushed through the exhaustion, when you've stumbled and risen again, the view becomes priceless. The reward is not just what you see at the top, it's what you became while climbing. There's an old saying that easy come, easy go. And it's true. Anything gained without effort rarely lasts. A man who inherits wealth without ever working for it often wastes it because he never learned the value of discipline. A student who cheats on exams may get the grade, but never the knowledge, and life eventually exposes that lack of preparation. A person who skips the climb misses the lessons that only the climb can teach. Greatness is never handed to you. It is crafted inside you. The temptation of shortcuts is everywhere. You'll see people promising fast success, quick money, overnight mastery. But here's the truth. There is no elevator to the top of the mountain, only steps. And each step requires consistency. Each step requires sacrifice. Each step requires the willingness to stay the course when others quit. Greatness has a process, and you cannot bypass it. Now, understand this. The climb is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to refine you. Just like gold is refined in fire, your character is refined in challenge. Just like diamonds are formed under pressure, your strength is developed under struggle. The longer and harder the climb, the more valuable the view becomes. If the mountain were easy, everyone would stand at the top and the view would mean nothing. The scarcity of greatness is what makes it valuable. The difficulty of the climb is what makes the view beautiful. You must decide whether you want temporary comfort or lasting greatness. The shortcut gives you comfort, but it steals your growth. The climb gives you discomfort, but it shapes your greatness. That is the choice every person faces. Take the easy road and stay average, or take the hard road and reach the extraordinary. So when you feel the climb is too steep, remember that the very struggle is proof you're on the right path. The mountain is not blocking you. It is preparing you. The climb is not punishment. It is process. And the reason there is no shortcut to greatness is because the climb itself is where greatness is built. The climb to the top is not powered by bursts of energy, nor by sudden waves of inspiration. It is powered by discipline, daily, consistent, sometimes boring, often unnoticed discipline. Inspiration will get you started, but discipline is what keeps you moving when the road is steep and the view is still far away. Discipline is the engine that carries you through the climb. Think about the climber on a mountain. He cannot rely on excitement alone. At the base of the mountain, he may feel motivated, energized, and ready to go. But as the air gets thinner, as the path grows rougher, as his body aches, motivation fades. What carries him upward then? It is discipline. The decision to keep placing one foot in front of the other, even when it hurts. The commitment to stay on the path, even when the summit is hidden behind clouds. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. And that is the secret to every great climb. Success is never one giant leap to the top. It is 1,000 small, disciplined steps taken day after day. Most people underestimate the power of small daily actions. They want to do something once and be rewarded forever. But the truth is, greatness is built in repetition, in habits, in routines. Take the example of someone who wants to master a craft, let's say writing. If he waits for inspiration, he may write a few times a month, maybe less. But the disciplined writer sits down every day, whether he feels inspired or not, and he writes. At first, the words may be weak, awkward, or forced. But with discipline, his skill sharpens, his thoughts become clearer, his work grows stronger. Over time, the small steps of discipline lead to mastery. Without discipline, he would never climb to that level. The same principle applies in every area of life. In health, it is not one workout that transforms you. It is the discipline of daily exercise, consistent nutrition, and proper rest. In relationships, it is not one grand gesture of love, but the daily discipline of listening, caring, and showing respect. In business, it is not one breakthrough idea, but the disciplined execution of many small tasks that build into something great. The climb is always discipline-driven. The challenge with discipline is that it does not give instant results, and that is why so many avoid it. The climb feels long, the progress feels slow, and the reward feels far away. But discipline is like planting seeds. At first, you see nothing. Days go by, maybe weeks, and there is no visible change. But beneath the surface, growth is happening. Discipline is silently shaping you, building strength, forming character, preparing the harvest. And then suddenly the results show up. What looked impossible becomes natural. What felt heavy becomes light. What seemed out of reach becomes yours. Discipline also protects you during the climb. Without discipline, you fall into distraction, laziness, and excuses. The mountain is full of temptations to stop, rest a little longer, take a shorter path, give up altogether. Discipline is the voice that says, keep moving. Discipline is the hand that pulls you back onto the path when your mind wants to wander. Discipline is what separates those who dream about the summit from those who actually stand on it. Consider the difference between desire and discipline. Desire says, I want to reach the top. Discipline says, I will climb every day until I get there. Desire is emotion, but discipline is decision. And decision always outlasts emotion. That is why so many start their climb with excitement but give up halfway. They relied on desire when they needed discipline. The climbers who reach the summit are not always the most talented, but they are the most disciplined. There is another truth about discipline: it compounds. Just as money grows with compound interest, habits grow with compound discipline. Each disciplined act builds on the last. Missing a day may seem small, but it breaks momentum. Keeping discipline, even in small things, creates unstoppable momentum. The person who disciplines himself to wake up early, to read daily, to eat clean, to work with focus, becomes stronger not just in those habits, but in life itself. Discipline in one area spreads into others, and soon the climber becomes capable of more than he imagined. The climb is hard enough already. Without discipline, it is impossible. But with discipline, the impossible becomes possible. Every step you take with discipline makes the next step a little easier. Every day you stay consistent, you build endurance for the next challenge. Discipline is not a prison, it is freedom, because the undisciplined life is controlled by impulses, distractions, and regrets. But the disciplined life is controlled by choice, direction, and purpose. When you see someone standing at the top, enjoying the view, understand this: what brought them there was not luck, not chance, not shortcuts, but discipline. Discipline to wake up earlier than others. Discipline to keep going when others quit. Discipline to keep climbing when the mountain grew steep. They didn't reach the top in a day. They reached it by refusing to break the chain of discipline day after day. And that is why discipline is the heart of the climb. Pain is the price we pay for progress. It is the toll booth on the road to success. The climb is painful, but the reward at the top makes the pain worth it. What makes pain powerful is that it never lasts, but what you gain from enduring it does. Pain is temporary, but the reward is permanent. Think about the runner training for a marathon. In the middle of his practice, his lungs burn, his legs ache, his body screams to stop. That pain feels endless in the moment. Yet, after he crosses the finish line, the sense of achievement stays with him for years. The medal on his wall reminds him of the reward, not the discomfort. The pain faded, but the memory of the victory remained. That is how life works. The hardest moments you go through today will not last forever, but the strength, wisdom, and results they bring will stay with you. The challenge is that when pain comes, we mistake it for permanence. We think this is how it will always feel. But pain is only passing through. It's a visitor, not a resident. It comes to test your resolve, and if you can hold on, it will leave, and in its place, it leaves a gift. Too many people quit during the visit of pain. They let go of their dreams because the climb feels too heavy. But if they had endured just a little longer, they would have reached the reward waiting at the top. Every meaningful achievement in life comes with pain attached. The pain of discipline, the pain of sacrifice, the pain of patience. A student staying up late to prepare for exams feels the pain of sleepless nights, but later reaps the reward of knowledge and opportunity. An entrepreneur struggling through failure after failure feels the pain of rejection, but later reaps the reward of building something valuable. A parent sacrificing time and energy feels the pain of responsibility, but later reaps the reward of raising a life well. The pain is always temporary, but the reward is always lasting. What makes the reward sweet is precisely the pain that preceded it. Imagine climbing a mountain where the path is smooth, effortless, without resistance. You reach the top, but the view has no meaning because nothing was required of you. Contrast that with the mountain that left you breathless, the trail that scraped your knees, the cold that numbed your hands. When you finally stand at the top of that mountain, the view feels different. The pain gave the reward its value. Without the climb, there is no appreciation for the peak. Pain is also a teacher. It teaches you about yourself in ways comfort never can. Pain reveals your limits, but it also reveals your potential to push past them. You may think you can only endure so much, but pain shows you that you can go further, that you can climb higher, that you can survive more than you believed. When you look back, you realize the very pain you wanted to avoid was the same pain that shaped your resilience, your courage, your strength. And here is the truth: you cannot escape pain in life. There are only two choices: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The pain of discipline is temporary. It comes from the effort, the sacrifice, the persistence needed to climb. But it passes, and it leaves behind achievement, pride, and reward. The pain of regret, however, lasts far longer. It comes from quitting too soon, from never trying, from refusing to climb. And unlike the pain of discipline, regret doesn't fade easily. It lingers, it haunts, it reminds you of what could have been. That is why choosing temporary pain is always better than living with lasting regret. Consider the athlete who pushes through intense training. His body aches, his muscles scream, and he wonders if it's worth it. But when he stands on the podium with the medal around his neck, he knows it was. The pain was temporary, but the victory lasts a lifetime. Consider the author who spends long, exhausting nights writing, revising, and facing rejection letters. It hurts in the moment, but when the book is finally published and touches lives, the reward lasts forever. These stories repeat in every field, every career, every dream. Pain may be part of the journey, but it is never the destination. There is also a deeper truth. Pain creates perspective. Once you've been through hardship, once you've endured the climb, you value success in a way that someone who never struggled cannot. You appreciate health more after sickness. You value peace more after storms. You treasure joy more after sorrow. The reward is lasting not just because you reached the top, but because the climb made you capable of appreciating it fully. So when the pain of the climb feels overwhelming, remember that it is not here to stay. It is temporary. It may last a day, a week, a year, but it is not permanent. The scars may remain, but even scars tell a story of survival and victory. The reward, however, will outlive the pain. The view from the top will last far beyond the struggle that brought you there. The lessons will stay with you. The strength will remain. The pride of accomplishment will echo throughout your life. Temporary pain, lasting reward. There is something remarkable about the top of the mountain. The climb may take hours, days, sometimes years of persistence, but when you finally reach the summit, the view changes everything. From the ground, all you see are obstacles, rocks in your way, slopes that tire your body, clouds that hide the peak. But from the top, the very obstacles that once discouraged you become part of a beautiful landscape. The higher you climb, the wider your vision becomes, and the more sense the journey starts to make. Perspective is the gift of the climb. When you are at the bottom, your vision is limited. You only see what is immediately in front of you. The path looks long, the challenges look overwhelming, and sometimes you even question if the climb is worth it. But as you climb higher, each step gives you a little more vision. You start to see beyond the obstacles. You realize how far you've come, and you catch glimpses of what lies ahead. The view gets clearer, the picture gets bigger, and what once looked like endless struggle now looks like progress. That's how life works. Struggles cloud your vision when you're in the middle of them. Failures feel final. Setbacks feel permanent, and obstacles feel immovable. But when you endure the climb and keep going, one day you look back and see it differently. You realize the struggle that nearly broke you was the very thing that built your strength. You understand the rejection that stung you was actually protection, steering you to something better. You see the pain that slowed you as part of the preparation. From the top, the story looks different. The top gives you perspective not only on your own journey, but also on the journeys of others. From the ground, it is easy to judge. It is easy to wonder why someone else is struggling, why they move slowly, why they stumble so often. But once you climb your own mountain, you understand the effort it takes. You know the weight of the climb, the temptation to quit, the exhaustion of carrying burdens uphill. From the top, you don't just see the view, you also gain compassion. You respect other climbers because you know what it costs them to keep going. Imagine standing on a hill that overlooks a valley. While you were in the valley, all you could see were tall grasses, uneven paths, and the thick forest in front of you. It felt confusing and uncertain. But once you climb the hill and look down, you can see the entire trail. Suddenly, the twists and turns make sense. Suddenly, the detours you didn't understand before are clear. That's what perspective does. It reveals what you couldn't see when you were in the middle of the struggle. Perspective is also what gives meaning to the reward. If you could somehow teleport to the top without climbing, the view would not feel the same. You would not value it because you didn't pay the price to earn it. The climb conditions you to appreciate the view. Each drop of sweat, each aching muscle, each moment of doubt becomes part of the story. And when you finally stand at the top, you don't just see a view, you feel it. The satisfaction runs deep because you know the cost. Without the climb, the perspective would be cheap. From the top, even the pain has meaning. The nights you stayed up working, the mornings you pushed through fatigue, the sacrifices you made along the way, all of them take on a new light. They no longer look like suffering, they look like stepping stones. What once felt like failure now looks like training. What once felt like loss now looks like learning. The top doesn't erase the struggle, it reframes it. It gives you a perspective that makes sense of what once seemed senseless. Perspective from the top also expands your vision for the future. Once you've climbed one mountain, you see other peaks you never noticed before. You realize the climb was not just about one view, but about training you for more. Success at one level opens your eyes to possibilities at a higher level. What seemed impossible from the ground becomes achievable once you've proven to yourself that you can climb. The view gives you courage to attempt even greater heights. And perhaps one of the most powerful parts of perspective from the top is that it inspires others. People stuck at the bottom look up to those who reached the summit. They see the view through your story, your testimony, your example. When they hear how hard the climb was, they gain courage to start their own. When they see you standing strong at the top, they believe they can do it too. The view is not just for you, it becomes a beacon of hope for others who are still climbing. The truth is, the climb is always harder than it looks from the bottom, but the view is always greater than you imagined. And the reason the view matters so much is not just because of what you see, but because of how you see it. The climb changes your perspective. The struggle deepens your gratitude. The obstacles sharpen your vision. And when you finally reach the top, you don't just gain a view of the world, you gain a new view of yourself. The climb is never just about you. While you may think the mountain is personal, while you may feel the struggle is yours alone, the truth is that every step you take upward becomes an example for someone else. People are watching, sometimes silently, sometimes from a distance, and your decision to keep climbing gives them courage to start their own. Your climb is bigger than your reward. Your climb becomes inspiration. Think about the parent who works long hours, sacrifices comfort, and keeps pushing through challenges. To the parent, it may feel like survival, just doing what needs to be done. But to the child watching, it becomes a living lesson of resilience, perseverance, and responsibility. Years later, that child carries the memory, and when life gets difficult, they remember the climb they witnessed. They remember how strength looked in action. That is how inspiration works. It is often unspoken, but it is deeply remembered. Your climb inspires others because it proves that it can be done. Many people stand at the bottom of their own mountain, doubting if the peak is even possible. They see the height, they feel the fear, they hesitate. But when they see you, someone who faced struggles, someone who stumbled but still kept climbing, suddenly the mountain doesn't look so impossible. Your climb becomes evidence. Your climb becomes proof that the path, though difficult, leads somewhere worth going. Think about history. The people who inspired generations are not those who lived in comfort, but those who endured the climb. Leaders who fought through opposition, inventors who worked through endless failure, dreamers who kept building when no one believed in them. Their climb inspires because it reflects the human struggle we all face. Their victory at the top gives us courage for our own journey. And it's not because they were superhuman. It's because they were human just like us, yet they refused to quit. Even in everyday life, your climb sends ripples further than you realize. When you discipline yourself to build a business, someone else gains hope that their idea can also grow. When you turn your health around after years of struggle, someone else gains courage to change their lifestyle. When you pursue education against the odds, someone else decides it's not too late for them either. You may not notice it, but your climb is quietly inspiring someone else to take their first step. Your climb inspires not just through success, but through the struggle itself. People don't only admire the final reward, they connect with the effort, the pain, the sacrifices. They see themselves in your challenges. They recognize their own fears in your setbacks, and when you rise above, they realize they can too. Inspiration is not born in perfection. It is born in persistence. The very climb that makes you feel weak becomes the story that makes others feel strong. There's a saying that someone is always watching who you don't even know about. That's true of life. You may never realize how many eyes are on you. The coworker who notices your consistency, the neighbor who admires your discipline, the friend who sees your growth and starts to believe in their own potential. You don't have to stand on a stage to inspire. You just have to keep climbing your mountain with integrity, and people will draw lessons from your journey. The power of your climb also comes from authenticity. People are not moved by an easy story, they are moved by an honest one. When you admit the climb was difficult, when you acknowledge the pain and the doubts, your story becomes real. And real stories inspire because they connect. Nobody believes in a life without struggle, but everyone believes in a story where the struggle was endured and overcome. Your honesty about the climb makes the inspiration even stronger. And let's not forget, your climb sets a standard. When you keep going despite difficulties, you raise the bar for those around you. You show your children, your friends, your colleagues that it's possible to demand more from life, to pursue more, to refuse mediocrity. Without saying a word, your actions tell others, don't settle at the bottom. Keep climbing. There's more waiting for you. Your climb becomes their invitation to rise. Sometimes people think they need a big platform or a large audience to inspire. But the truth is, even if you inspire one person, that person may go on to inspire 10, and those 10 may inspire hundreds. Your climb can start a chain reaction you may never see in your lifetime. The story of your perseverance can echo long after you've reached the top. Inspiration multiplies, it spreads, it turns one climb into many. And perhaps the greatest part is this: the climb that feels so personal, the climb that feels so lonely, may one day be the very reason someone else doesn't quit. They may never tell you. They may never thank you. But because you climbed, because you didn't give up, someone else found the courage to begin. That is the unseen reward of the climb. You don't just reach the top for yourself, you light the path for others to follow. Life is a climb, and the mountain is never meant to discourage you, but to prepare you. Every struggle shapes your strength. Every hard step reminds you that there are no shortcuts to greatness. Discipline is the rope that pulls you upward. Pain is the price you pay along the way, and the reward is the lasting view from the top. And once you stand there, perspective changes everything. You see how far you've come. You understand why the climb was necessary. And you realize that your journey is not just about you, because your climb, your persistence, your victory becomes the very inspiration that gives someone else the courage to take their first step. The best view will always come after the hardest climb, and when you reach it, you'll know the price was worth it.